O Michael e o Gage, a Misty, o Chris, a Amanda, a Brit.
So what's the latest with Tammy?
That bitch.
This season on 1,000 Pound Sisters.
Do you think it's the surgery that's making her act different?
I can't handle her toxic ass no more. I'm done. I'm going up. No, that bitch.
No.
She's dead to me.
Breaking tonight, 1000 LB Sisters is facing its biggest crisis ever. Tammy Slaton has issued an ultimatum to TLC, while Amy Slaton declares their relationship is over. What really happened behind the scenes, and could this end the show forever? Here's the exclusive report. Season 8 of TLC's 1000 LB Sisters began under circumstances that few within the network or the broader entertainment industry anticipated, triggering what multiple production-adjacent sources now describe as the most serious internal crisis in the history of the series. What was expected to be a routine season premiere instead revealed a breakdown so severe that it has raised immediate questions about the future viability of the franchise itself. According to information confirmed through on-air statements, corroborated by individuals familiar with the production, Tammy Slaton informed TLC that she would no longer continue working on 1000 LB Sisters if her sister Amy Slaton remained part of the show. This position was not presented as a temporary emotional reaction, nor was it framed as a storyline device designed to heighten drama. Sources consistently describe the statement as a definitive ultimatum delivered with clarity and finality, placing the network in an unprecedented position. Shortly after Tammy's stance became clear, Amy Slaton responded with a declaration that stunned viewers and industry observers alike, stating that her sister Tammy was dead to me, a phrase that immediately drew attention for both its emotional severity and its apparent lack of retraction or clarification. For context, 1000 LB Sisters has always been built around the relationship between Tammy and Amy Slaton. From its inception, the series relied on their shared history, mutual dependence, and ongoing interpersonal conflict to sustain long-term viewer engagement. While extended family members and supporting cast have appeared throughout the show's run, the narrative structure has never deviated from its central focus on the two sisters. Industry analysts note that TLC rarely commits to a multi-season unscripted series anchored so heavily to a single relationship, unless that relationship is considered stable enough to endure sustained public exposure. Until the Season 8 premiere, there had been no indication that the Slaton sisters' relationship would reach a point of apparent irreparability. During the broadcast of Season 8, Episode 1, Tammy Slaton made statements that strongly indicated she would not continue participating in the series under the current arrangement. While TLC has not released an official statement or transcript addressing the matter directly, the framing of the episode left little ambiguity. Tammy's position was conveyed as resolute, with no visible attempt by producers to soften, recontextualize, or immediately counterbalance the claim. Notably, there was no confessional segment suggesting regret, emotional reconsideration, or openness to mediation. Instead, the episode transitioned to Amy Slaton's response, which appeared equally firm in tone. Amy's statement that her sister was dead to me was delivered without the heightened emotional volatility that often accompanies reality television confrontations. Observers noted the calmness of her delivery, interpreting it as an expression of emotional severance rather than a spontaneous outburst. Veteran executives within the unscripted television industry point out that while dramatic language is common in reality programming, statements of this nature take on added significance when they are not immediately walked back. One longtime network executive, speaking on condition of anonymity, explained that when a cast member publicly disavows a core relationship without subsequent clarification, production teams interpret it as a genuine signal of relational collapse rather than performative drama. This distinction is critical because the Slaton sisters' relationship is not merely one storyline among many. It is the structural foundation of the series. The severity of the situation is amplified by its timing. Tammy Slaton's ultimatums follows a period of substantial personal change, including notable health improvements and increased independence. In similar cases across the reality television landscape, such periods of transformation often coincide with cast members reassessing long-standing personal dynamics and setting new boundaries. Several sources close to the production indicate that Tammy has increasingly expressed a desire to distance herself from environments she perceives as emotionally destabilizing, and that this perspective has influenced her willingness to continue filming alongside Amy. Amy, for her part, is said to view Tammy's stance as a rejection that disregards years of caregiving, support, and shared struggle, a perception that appears to have shaped her response. From a production standpoint, TLC now faces a set of outcomes that all carry significant risk. If Tammy Slaton exits the series, the network loses one of its most compelling recent transformation arcs, and a key driver of audience engagement. If Amy Slaton is reduced or removed, the show risks undermining its original premise and alienating viewers who have followed the sisters' journey since the beginning. Attempting to film the sisters separately, while theoretically possible, would introduce increased production costs, logistical challenges, and editorial complications, with no guarantee that audiences would accept a divided format. Industry consultants emphasize that such structural changes are rarely undertaken lightly, particularly for a series that has already established a clear identity. Contractual considerations further complicate the situation. While the specific terms of the Slaton sisters' agreements with TLC are not public, standard unscripted television contracts typically include clauses addressing health, safety, and psychological well-being. Entertainment attorneys consulted for this report note that networks are generally reluctant to compel continued participation when a cast member credibly asserts that filming under certain conditions would be harmful to their mental health. In such cases, networks often seek negotiated solutions rather than strict enforcement, both to mitigate legal exposure and to avoid reputational damage. This may help explain why TLC has thus far refrained from publicly disputing Tammy Slaton's position. Equally notable is the network's silence. As of this writing, TLC has not issued any formal comment addressing Tammy's ultimatum, Amy's statement, or the broader implications for Season 8. Media strategists suggest that this silence likely reflects ongoing internal deliberations rather than indecision. In comparable situations, networks often delay public communication while legal counsel reviews contractual obligations, production teams assess alternative formats, and executives evaluate long-term brand impact. The absence of an immediate response has only intensified speculation among fans and industry observers, many of whom interpret the lack of clarification as an indication that the situation remains unresolved. Public reaction to the Season 8 premiere has been sharply divided. Social media analysis reveals a polarized audience, with some viewers expressing support for Tammy's decision to prioritize her well-being, others defending Amy's role in sustaining the family dynamic, and a third group questioning whether the series has crossed ethical boundaries by continuing to document deeply personal family conflict. While audience sentiment alone does not determine network strategy, it plays a meaningful role in shaping advertiser confidence and public perception, factors that are particularly relevant for a long-running franchise. Beyond the immediate future of 1000 LB Sisters, industry observers view the Slaton situation as emblematic of broader shifts within unscripted television. Cast members who achieve public recognition increasingly assert control over how their lives are portrayed, while networks face growing scrutiny over the emotional toll of prolonged reality exposure. In this context, the conflict between Tammy and Amy Slaton extends beyond a single-family dispute, raising questions about sustainability, ethics, and the evolving relationship between reality television producers and their talent. What remains clear is that Season 8 did not simply introduce new tension into an established narrative. It exposed a fracture at the core of the series, one that cannot be resolved through conventional storytelling techniques alone. As the season progresses, TLC will be forced to confront whether the foundational relationship that sustained 1000 LB Sisters for years can be repaired, restructured, or replaced. For now, the premiere stands as a stark indication that the show has entered uncharted territory, with its future hinging on decisions that extend far beyond what appears on screen. As production on 1000 LB Sisters moved forward following the Season 8 premiere, the immediate concern inside TLC was no longer how the conflict between Tammy and Amy Slaton would be portrayed on screen, but whether it could be contained at all. multiple individuals familiar with the production environment described the days after episode 1 aired as unusually tense, marked by rapid internal meetings, legal consultations, and a noticeable shift in how footage was reviewed and approved. According to these sources, the network had not anticipated the scale or permanence implied by the sisters' statements, particularly Amy Slaton's declaration that Tammy was dead to me, which was interpreted internally as an indication that reconciliation could not be assumed even for filming purposes. Behind the scenes, producers reportedly attempted to assess whether Amy's statement reflected a moment of emotional exhaustion or a settled position. What complicated the evaluation was the absence of subsequent softening language. In prior seasons, heated remarks between the sisters were often followed by partial apologies, confessional clarifications, or third-party mediation involving family members or medical professionals. In this instance, no such counterbalancing material was immediately available. Several crew members have indicated that Amy did not request the statement be removed or reframed, a factor that contributed to the perception that her words were deliberate rather than reactive. At the same time, Tammy Slaton's stance appeared equally firm. Sources indicate that Tammy did not engage in post-episode damage control with producers, nor did she express concern about how her position might be received by the audience. Instead, she reportedly emphasized consistency, stating that her decision was rooted in long-standing issues, rather than a single incident. Individuals familiar with her perspective describe a belief that continued proximity to Amy, particularly under the pressures of filming, represented a regression she was unwilling to accept after years of medical and psychological struggle.